Good morning. I'm Theresa.
I'm Matt.
And our special guest, Mr. Keivel.
Good morning. We're going to talk a little Final Four?
Yeah.
Some predictions?
I think so.
Yes.
Alright. Well, yesterday I sat down. It was St. Patrick's Day, so you'll find out that my pick to win it all kind of has a little bit of a green to it. So let's start off where I had my Sweet 16. I had Florida, UCLA, Syracuse, and Kansas. I also went with Virginia, Michigan State, Iowa State, and Villanova. I went with Arizona, San Diego State, Creighton, Wisconsin, Wichita State, University of Louisville, the Cardinals, the defending national champs, Duke, and Michigan. And as I broke my way down, I went down to the Elite Eight to be in Florida against Kansas for a chance at the Final Four. Michigan State versus versus Virginia. Then I've got Iowa State, the Cyclones, who I thought had a great team last year, taking on Villanova. And then I went with Arizona versus Wisconsin. And then I had the defending national champs taking on that team up north, because where I'm from, we don't say that, as you know, we don't say that team. And then at my Final Four, you ready for my Final Four? I've got the Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, taking on Michigan State. And I got Arizona taking on University of Louisville. It's not going to make the locals happy here in Wisconsin, not going with the Badgers. And in my national championship, Michigan State versus Arizona. And our honorary Michigan State alum here, Mr. Shumway, glad to know I'm picking his beloved alma mater, the Spartans, to cut down the nets here in early April. So what are y'all thoughts? What are your thoughts on the tournament?
I was going to go along with Michigan State would be in the final.
I was just going to say the same thing, actually, but
I don't know, Florida. See, everybody's giving Florida a real good chance to go through. They said they've got a well-rounded team. The defense and the offense seems to be there. And I haven't paid much attention to Florida State. I'll have to admit that.
Yeah, I think Florida's got a good shot. I don't know. I have my questions about the SEC. I'm not going to knock Florida for being a good team, but the SEC is not the best conference. And I think one of these teams are kind of battle-tested. A Big Ten team could come out of there. I mean, you could take any of the Big Ten teams to make a run, especially outside of Michigan State, who I chose, and Michigan, could have a good shot of going pretty far in this tournament. Yeah. So that'd be a fun tournament to see how it's all going to play out, because you never know. When you write these things down, you never know who's going to upset who. That's what makes March so great, why they call it March Madness, because upsets galore. I mean, who ever thought Wichita State was going to go to the Final Four last year?
Yep.
Who ever thought George Mason a few years back was going to be in the Final Four?
Yeah.
So, this tournament's with a one-and-done format. Things, you win, you move on, survive and advance. Yep. You lose, guess what? You're on a bus out of town and heading back to your campus, and your season's over.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how the tournament's going to play out. Like I said, Michigan State, I thought they've been playing the best basketball. I mean, they beat two great teams in the Big Ten tournament, being Wisconsin, who was going to possibly be a 1 seed, is now a 2 seed, and they manhandled that team up north pretty well in that championship game in the Big Ten. But
all it takes is a momentum swing. It's funny how that works.
Right. If you that's what the tournament's all about. It's getting hot at the right time. You get hot, and you got a great shot of going far in the tournament. If you don't play well, the season's over for you. So I'm excited, to begin tonight. Except as this Daytonian, I know my fellow Daytonian here, the producer, we're kind of torn here a little bit, because if the committee doesn't have a sense of humor, they don't have a sense of humor. I find that hard to believe, because they fitted the Dayton Flyers, our hometown Dayton Flyers, versus our beloved Buckeyes. So when that came across the wire, when they showed Ohio State number 6 seed, and then that Dayton seed popped at 11, I think my heart dropped into my stomach, because I was like, oh my gosh, who am I going to root for? Because I grew up going to University of Dayton basketball games, but you're from the state of Ohio. You grow up rooting for the Buckeyes. So it was like you're torn, kind of like that torn between two lovers kind of thing, But so I don't know. I guess it's a win-win situation. It's just heartbreaking that one's going to knock the other out.
Yeah.
So.
They were talking the other morning, I guess, Southern Methodist University. Everybody thought they were going to make it in, and then they didn't get it. But someone said it was because they lost those final 3. But they were talking to the coach, and he said he didn't still think, he thought it was more that people aren't recognizing that All-American Conference or whatever they're coming out of. He says that he thinks there was something wrong with the way, a little bit of choosing the teams to be in the tournament. But
You guys are going to have that debate. There's always going to be, a few years ago it was the 65th team. Now it's the 69th team who feel like they've been, cheated out of an opportunity to play in a tournament. You're never going to make everybody happy.
Right.
But we had a great season. I think they were one of the only top 25 ranked teams to not make the tournament. I
something
mean,
like that.
and I think it says a lot about who they played out of conference too. That hurt them. So, yeah, that's interesting. Larry Brown happens to be the coach, which he ran a national championship at Kansas. So I know he was none too enthused to not have his team make the tournament. So
Yeah. Hopefully they'll do good in the NIT though. They'll probably. I think
well, your Gophers got a #1 seed.
Yes.
Yeah,
they
the NIT.
did. Yeah. We'll see how they do. I mean, they didn't do very good in the Big Ten tournament, so I don't know. I just don't give them much chance to go too far.
To go too far. Well, you never know.
Yep.
It's like you said, as Theresa said, whoever gets hot,
Yeah.
has a chance to move on.
Well, that just about wraps it up for this week.
Talk about the team.
Oh, one more thing before we go. For being our special guest this week, we got
Alright.
3 bottles of special tea goodness for our special guest. As a token of our appreciation.
Well, thank you, Theresa and Matt. My favorite.
So, see us next week on Tuesday for Theresa and Matt in the morning.
Yep.